I would suggest doing more of doing the work and figuring it out because a lot of those answers come once you're actually working with your clients. I feel like it's a lot of saying yes and figuring out how to provide what that person needs to the best of your ability. Sometimes you have to step out on faith.
Welcome to Begin, Build, Blossom Your Business Journey, the podcast where we share valuable insights, resources, and motivation to fuel your entrepreneurial spirit. Let's build a supportive community together. Don't forget to subscribe or follow wherever you listen to podcasts and be part of this journey. Let's pause for a moment to hear from our sponsors. You've built a name for yourself through hard work and dedication, but does managing the business side feel like a distraction from your true passion? Are you dealing with unmanaged finances? CME Accounting LLC is here to help. We specialize in organizing your financial records, allowing you to focus on what you do best. With organized books, you'll have more time for what inspires you. Whether that's expanding your influence, building relationships, or simply enjoying life. Don't let unmanaged finances hold you back. Reach out to CME Accounting LLC today and let us help you thrive. Visit our website www.cmeaccountingllc.com or email us at admin@cmeaccountingllc.com. All right, let's jump back into our conversation. Good day and welcome to another episode of our podcast, Begin, Build, Blossom Your Business Journey. Today we have with us Madison Henderson. By day, she's driving change in her community. By night, she's crafting stunning brands that help small businesses shine. Meet Madison, a marketing and communications pro who's passionate about improving the quality of life in her hometown and building dream brands. In this episode, we learn about her business journey as the founder of Anya Creative Co, a boutique brand and web design studio that empowers entrepreneurs to bring their visions to life. You won't want to miss her insights on making an impact, both locally and online. And I have had the pleasure of working with Madison. Madison recently worked on my own website, and I am very, very, very happy with it. Welcome, Madison. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you for making the time. On here, we go through different segments. First, we will just get to know you a little better in a segment we call Rapid Fire. Then we'll focus on the beginning of your journey, how you've been building scenes, and what blossoming looks like for you. So let's get to know you a little better. Can you tell us 2 words, one word that describes you now, and one word you would have used to describe yourself as a child?
I would say creative describes me now, and as a child, I would say reserved.
Okay. And what is the name of your business, and what do you do in business?
Yeah, so my business is called Anya Creative Co. It's a boutique brand and web design studio. And so we help small businesses build brand identities and then help try and make that consistent across platforms.
Awesome. Great. And I know we said that you do some things by day and some things by night. So that tells me that you're also doing a different job. What is it that you do by day? Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so I work full time as a marketing and communications professional. And I've worked in different businesses and in nonprofit. Right now, I've recently joined a nonprofit, and so they help improve the quality of life and the per capita income across 5 counties where I live.
Great. Wow. And how long have you been in business when it comes to Anya Creative Co?
I have officially been in business just over a year with Anya Creative Co. I've been doing the work for a couple years now, maybe 2.5 years in this kind of design and web design space.
Congratulations. That's amazing. And it so happens that we were about 1 year in ourselves when it comes to the podcast.
Yes.
So nice. Thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely. Big milestones.
Yes, amazing. A year in, what would you say has been one of the best moments that you've had?
I would say seeing the people that I've worked with succeed in what they set out to do. And so one of my first clients was my good friend Sam, and she wanted to host retreats. And so it was kind of just a dream of hers. And I was able to help her develop her website. And she ended up selling out the retreat, hosting the retreat, and then seeing those results like in people that she was intending to make. And so that's really what fires me up about my job is helping people realize their dreams and create the difference that they want to make. And seeing that light up in them just helps light me up as well.
Wow, I totally can relate. And your friend Sam is actually a mutual connection. That's how I found out about you. And I saw her website. I'm like, I need to know who built your website. I reached out to her and I decided to move forward with you. And now I have a beautiful website that I'm very proud of. So thank you so much for making all of our dreams come true.
It was a joy. And as I was saying to you before we started recording, like it is great to work with people and it be a collaborative effort, right? Because I have my own design eye and my own ideas for what something can be, but the entrepreneurs themselves really bring their own vision, right? And so when you collaborate, it really creates something special. And yeah, your project was a joy. I've enjoyed every project I've worked on so far, so I feel really lucky in that regard.
Yeah, and it's good that you create that environment where I can, it's a collaborative environment where I like how you basically allowed me to tell you what it is I'm looking for. And then we worked on it. And then we had basically a communication about what else can be added. You actually helped me think about other things I could add, like add to what I already had in mind. But from working with you, I got a better sense of what I really needed. And I think that really helped to bring the final product to a place where I'm very happy with it. So thank you so much.
Absolutely.
I want to add here, after you were done with the project, you provided me with a video that I constantly go to. So I use it as a resource to actually do updates on my own. And you've also told me that you're available if I have any questions. So for me, that's amazing. So thank you so much for that as well.
Absolutely. I think so with that, I found that came with a process. Like I realized that the people I was working with requested a video or requested instruction on how to do it. And so that became something that I included in my service. I think I told you at the beginning that I would send that at the end. Yeah, I think it's a testament to learning what your clients need and kind of altering what you offer in order to just give them the best experience that you can.
Like when somebody actually teaches you along the way. So like if I have a little tweak to do, I can do that myself. That I feel empowered. And if I need something major, I know who to call upon. So I love that you included that in the process because for me, that was, I think even one of the best parts. Everything else was great, but having that at the end, it really added a lot of value for me.
Thank you for that feedback. I think entrepreneurs are scrappy, right? Like we're willing to like figure things out ourselves. And so with small things like that, I try to use website builders and things like that where the user interface is not super complicated. And so they are things you can do yourself if you just have a little bit of guidance. And so I'm
Right.
so glad that that translated and you feel empowered to do that.
Yes, and that's the thing, the guidance part of it. That is amazing. All right. Well, thank you so much. And let's talk a little bit about how this all started for you. What was it that led to you saying, I'm going to have this business?
It was honestly just a slow process over time with a bunch of different like small dominoes falling. I've always been an artist. And so I've always created different things, but I was very like shy about it until one, I started needing some extra money in college. And so I kind of started putting it out there, that I was for hire to do different things for people. It was after college that I got a request to design a logo, which I had never done before. And so I was kind of familiar with the design software and I was like, I'll try. Like, I kind of have the art in me. So, but with that came a lot of questions, like what is the intention behind what we're creating? Who are you trying to reach? And so it's really been a development over time. I think with Starting my own business, it's about being able to serve the people that I want to serve and also creating a lifestyle that can be more flexible. Like I can be on my own time and kind of work when I need to work and stop working when I'm done rather than, being on that hard schedule. So yeah, that's the reason why I started it.
Right. I love that. And I'm just really glad you did because sometimes as small businesses, we don't always have access to such amazing work because sometimes the people who provide it probably really maybe not as affordable as we are able to that allows for us at this time. So it's good to be able to get people who are willing to serve persons like ourselves.
Absolutely. And I, as a small business owner, understand, right? So you are me, we are us.
Yes, for sure. I totally get that. All right. And once you decided to actually start the business, what were the steps that you took?
So I launched my website first, probably because that's what I do, but kind of I spent a little bit too much time, I would say, trying to define like the answers of who my audience is and how I want to say things, like these branding questions that I try to help other people figure out. So I kind of tried to define all of that. And then from there, went on to establish my LLC through Zen Business online. And so they filed the paperwork for me. There was a fee, but I also was able to concurrently set up my business bank account and start separating my finances and just kind of have that all on in one place. So that was my like official step.
All right. Thanks for sharing that. And when you talk about the branding part of things, I know we all approach business in different ways. So some people like to have the structure in place, while others like to kind of do the work and then figure out the structure. So it sounds like for you, getting that structure in place was what you did.
That is what I did. Yeah.
Yeah. And of course you already had the knowledge, right? So you worked from where you what you knew.
Yes. I would say that I would suggest doing more of doing the work and figuring it out because a lot of those answers come once you're actually working with your clients, kind of the value that you're providing them and what sets you apart. So I feel like I learned through the process of that, of trying to get it all perfect first and then just saying, it's not perfect, but I just have to do it eventually. Right. And then finding out that once I'm doing it, the answers come.
Yes, and oh my gosh, that is a big thing to learn
Yes.
because I think I've kind of done a little bit of both. And it has something sometimes to do with personalities. So I'm a bit of a personality where I am very detail oriented.
Mhm.
I need to know what I'm doing. I need structure.
Yes.
And this whole entrepreneurial journey has kind of messed that up for me a little bit because I've had to learn that that is not how it always works.
Yes.
So it's
Yeah.
been quite a learning process for me. So I would say yes, you do learn as you go. Some things you have to let go
Hmm.
and some things are your strengths. So you keep that, of course, but you probably have to be a little bit more not so rigid. That's what I've learned from my own experience anyway.
Yes, I agree with that. I've heard entrepreneurship likened to like jumping out of a plane and building like your own plane on the way down.
Yes.
And I would agree with that. There are those elements where you can be structured, but there are also those elements where you have to let go and flow and figure it out and be more open.
Yes, and that is a big thing to learn. But at least the good thing is having the support system too. As you're learning, as you're unlearning some things as well, it's good to kind of surround yourself with people that could help you. And I think your business, for instance, you help with the branding and you help with getting that thing in our head out there and so that people can really know what it is that we're trying to bring across. So I would say getting people on your team early on, even though it's not as a full-time employee, but just having that person you can call upon for that kind of assistance really makes a huge difference. So thanks for being that for me when it comes to my website. Okay. And tell us a little bit about the story behind the name of your business.
It's strange to me how it came about. I was trying to figure out what the name was going to be. And the name Anya kept coming to me, like in a random YouTube video or like just kind of like, and then it like stuck in my mind. And I'm like, this is it's typically a person's first name, right? Like Anya is actually a first name. And I'm like, why is this coming to me? Like, this can't be the name of my business. It doesn't describe like what I'm doing, but it wouldn't go away. And so I ended up looking up what the name means. And it has all of these different meanings across different languages, but they all felt like they embodied what I am trying to be as a person, as an offering, and trying to help other people experience as well. So some of the translations or the definitions are grace, mercy, sight, rhythm, resurrection. And so it just ended up being this beautiful embodiment of something that I never expected. So I'm like, well, like once I read all those, I'm like, that's the name. And so I stuck with it. Yeah.
That's amazing because when I saw the name, actually before I met you, I thought your name would be Anya
Yes,
because
because it's the first name. Yeah.
yes. And I'm like, okay. But now that you mentioned that, that's amazing. And I like how you said it kept coming to you and you went to actually find out the meaning rather than just dismissing it.
Yes.
That's great. That's amazing. And I feel like we do that a lot with business too. Sometimes we have an idea that comes to us. And when we actually take some time and listen and look into it, we're like, this is the idea. It's been trying to come to us. We need to allow it in, right?
I think that our logic can sometimes get in the way. And what I find, I have really strong faith. And so sometimes things don't make sense, but it doesn't make them wrong. And so sometimes you have to be willing to flow with that and just kind of find out. That seems to be a theme that I'm talking about. But yeah, with this case, it just ended up being the perfect name.
I love that. That's a very beautiful story.
Thank you.
Anya Creative Co. That's it. Great. And sometimes when we talk about how do you know it's the name? Because sometimes some people say that they actually go through a lot of names and it's like, how do you know that's the one? And I think you just kind of know, right? When it happens. Awesome.
That's not to say that there won't be another name some other time, right? That makes more logical sense, but I will know at that time, right?
Yes. Right. Great. So let's move on to the building segment. So I know we talked about your first client. It sounds like you had your first client even before you formed the business. So someone came up to you and asked you for assistance with your logo. So tell us a little bit more about what that looks like. I don't know if you want to focus on when you finally registered the business and you had that client that came in that way. Maybe just kind of walk us through what that has been like for you, your first client's experiences.
I feel like I am constantly figuring things out. And so from that very first client, which this probably happened, it was right after college. So honestly, maybe 10 years ago, like when this very first person who asked me and paid me to design a logo, up until finally founding my business now, I feel like it's a lot of saying yes and figuring out how to provide what that person needs to the best of your ability and being honest about, I don't know, but I'll find out, right? Or let's see what we can do. I'll do the best that I can. And I feel like that proceeds even currently. I definitely have a better feel for where people are and what they're looking for and what I can provide that will help them. I still feel like I'm early enough in my business where there's a lot of learning going on. And so it's really about being able to shift, being open to learn, and really just provide the best service that you can, because people remember that. Like you can be really rigid, like, no, I want to do these things or offer these products. But if it's not what people need, like you have to be able to shift in order to succeed, I believe.
Yeah. And I hear a lot about being open.
Mhm.
Even like when it comes to the name, being open to that, being open to when somebody comes up to you, somebody feels like you can do it and they're asking you and actually giving yourself that opportunity to fulfill that wish. So I really like that. Being open. That's very important. So thanks for mentioning that.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think everyone's journey is going to be different. And so some people, they may already know very specifically what it is that they feel like they can provide to people, but they might be kind of unclear and just have this kind of urge to want to help. And so the way to kind of uncover that and dust it off, right, and make it more and more clear is to help out where you can and allow it to guide you into the right spot, if that makes sense.
Yes, it makes a lot of sense. And going back to how I talked about my personality being a little bit more rigid, I think that was part of it too, because I felt like I needed to know everything, before I even started. But one of the things I've learned is to being open, like you said. And I'm working with a life coach, and I'm actually two different coaches. One is a life coach and one assists me with accounting in itself because she's more advanced than I am, and she's helping me just to continually learn as I go. And I remember speaking with both of them, and they mentioned about, we talked about it a little bit more, and then I figured the way to be more open is to just ask questions too. So I recently put out a questionnaire asking people, what is it that you want? So I feel like that's one of those ways, right? It's a little bit being vulnerable too, because I know what I can do, but I also need to learn what people want, right? So it's good to be open to that feedback. And so actually, I know you also mentioned shifts, making shifts. So by having that information, it helps me to shift things a little bit as well.
Yeah. So with that survey, I would call that like doing market research, right? Like finding out I don't know, very technical term of what it is, but finding out what people are really looking for. And to your point of you can do today, but you're continually learning. And there's, I'm sure, so much more different aspects and avenues and platforms or different aspects of what you do that you can learn and be of value.
Let's pause for a moment to hear from our sponsors. You've built a name for yourself through hard work and dedication, but does managing the business side feel like a distraction from your true passion? Are you dealing with unmanaged finances? CME Accounting LLC is here to help. We specialize in organizing your financial records, allowing you to focus on what you do best. With organized books, you'll have more time for what inspires you, whether that's expanding your influence, building relationships, or simply enjoying life. Don't let unmanaged finances hold you back. Reach out to CME Accounting LLC today and let us help you thrive. Visit our website www.cmeaccountingllc.com or email us at admin@cmeaccountingllc.com. All right, let's jump back into our conversation. Yes, for sure. I love this journey, continuously learning myself and the work, right? And meeting people like yourselves who just enriches that journey as well. So let's talk about boldest steps. So I know starting this business, that was a bold move.
Mm-hmm.
Even remaining in business is bold.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
we all know sometimes you want to kind of give up, right? I mean, talking from experience. But can you just tell us a little bit more about maybe one of the bold moves you've made, one of the other bold moves?
Yes. So I will say a disclaimer before I share this that I would not suggest that anyone follow like what I did. But again, I'm really rooted in faith and I'm a believer. I know things are going to work out and I allow the river to kind of shift me for that to happen. So one of the boldest moves I made was a few months ago. It was in October, which was crazy because it was actually when your project started. I think we may have met for the first time during this time, or we also met separately to talk accounting too. And it was like during this time. I left my current day job because I had been so uncomfortable, I would say for like a 7-month period of trying to make shifts that would help improve my life and open up the opportunity for me to work on my business. And like, no matter what I did, I just couldn't make the changes. I couldn't make the changes. And it finally came all kind of to a head to where I was like, okay, I guess I just have to make the decision to jump into my business. And so after a lot of prayer and kind of waiting for the feeling to go, I did that. And I left that job, and over this 2-week time period, I actually got an offer for the job that I'm currently working, which offers a hybrid schedule. I'm 3 days in office a week. I'm able to balance the work that I'm doing for them with the work that I do on the side. And it worked out. Like my business is growing now. It has that space to grow. And then in my day job, I'm more aligned with the work that I'm doing to help my community and have that flexibility. So that was a really bold move that I made. I thought at the time that I would start doing my business full time, but that isn't actually what happened. And yet it still worked out. So that's my bold move. The anxiety, I wouldn't suggest anyone just doing that, but that's just kind of how my journey has gone.
Wow, thanks so much for sharing that with us. So when you made that decision at that point that, you know what, I'm going to do it, how did that feel in that moment?
It felt so empowering. It felt like I'm finally believing in myself that I can actually do this. Because I think me personally, and I know a lot of other people have trouble believing in their abilities, right? Believing in the value that they bring to other people. Even listening to you tell me how I've helped you, I'm like, oh, wow, I am actually helping, right? Because sometimes when you're in your zone of the thing that you know, it seems so natural to you. It's hard to see how it's not natural to everyone. And what you're able to provide does have value to other people.
Wow. And you actually got rid of a safety net there too, because your day job was your safety net.
So that was terrifying. And sometimes you have to step out on faith, and allow whatever you believe, God, the universe, to move for you. And so I had held on. I had held on to that safety net because it was a safety net for so long. I had to let go in order to let the new come in.
Yeah. And it's a process because I'm sure there's a lot that happened leading up to that, but you felt it was the right moment. And it brings me back to I can't remember the name of the book right now, but I remember I spoke about it in my very, very first episode. This book that talks about the universe response. I know there's faith and there's people who just believe that it's the universe, but whatever we all call it, but there is this power, right, beyond ourselves. And it's almost as if you give it permission to do what it needs to do by the actions you take, right? So by you doing that, that's from my perspective, how I see it from listening to you. By you doing that, you kind of opened up that door and things came flowing. And tell us about this moment when you've decided I'm going to now focus on my business. And then this new opportunity comes up. What does that mean for you now?
So I started focusing on my business. It took, I would say, 5 days or so for that opportunity to come in. And so in that 5 days, I'm like, boom, focused on my business. And so this is something I've been doing on the side for so long. I spent maybe 2.5 days, really diving in, getting things done that I hadn't had the time to do, etc. And then I kind of reached this point where I was like, okay, but where am I going? Okay, but wait, where are the client? There were answers that I didn't have quite yet. There were parts of my business that weren't quite ready yet to bring in that full-time income like I wanted. And that's when the other opportunity came in. And I realized, oh, this could be a chance to balance both things. And so the anxiety was high just because I have children. I just bought a house a year ago. And so from the outside looking in, I'm an insane person for that decision. But again, that trust and everything worked out. So, and I'm looking forward to how things shift and how my business is able to continue building and going into that blossoming phase, right? In order to move in that direction too.
It must feel good to bet on yourself, to take that chance and to see it paying off. And it's going to continue to pay off. So congrats to you and everybody's journey and their decisions will look different. But for you, it works. I love it for you. I just really love it for you. And I would say congratulations because that's huge.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And when it comes to teams, so it sounds like you work alone in the business, but is there or are there collaborations that you do with other people? Or maybe even though you don't have a team now, how do you envision that being? Like, what do you see that becoming eventually?
So I feel like my vision of that is evolving right now. So far it has just been me, and I've been just a little bit of a jack of all trades. But I found certain things I am better at and certain things I'm not as great at, or certain things I don't enjoy as much. And so they're more laborious. So in my new role, we are actually working with multiple marketing agencies. And so I'm able to see kind of the different members of their team and how they divide and conquer and what that product ends up looking like. And I'm starting to see the value in a team and not every single aspect of the business falling on me all the time. And so in the future, this sounds scary to say, in the future, I do see where my business would grow to have more team members. I'm not there yet, but I am learning. So I'm a student in the classroom right now of life, and it's teaching me, how those interactions work and how those different roles work together, and what can come of that.
Great, I love that. And I love how you said you're a student of life, right?
Yeah.
Yep, learning every day. And you mentioned about, the different hats that we all wear as entrepreneurs. So how do you currently manage that? Like the accounting, the administration, all the other things. I know we see how eventually there'll be a team, but right now, how do you manage it?
Continuous juggling is what I would say. I am small enough now to where the accounting is not out of control. It's very simple. It's very within my grasp. And so I would say like once a month I go in and check. I don't have it like scheduled right now. And so the systems that are working, I kind of set them up as I go. So, not on the accounting side, but on my business side, some of the automations when people schedule a call with me or something like that, kind of setting up those processes as I go and as I have time for it. Like ideally, I think I see how everything would be, but it's allowing for those things to develop as they can.
All right. Thank you for sharing that. And I will say from working with you, you were very responsive. You made the time to speak with me. I think there was at least one time I asked if you can hop on a call, if I'm remembering correctly, and you were able to do that. So I feel like whatever you're doing right now, it really works.
Thank you.
So yes, I'm really happy about that. I'm just so happy for you. Your business, I love to hear you speak about your business. I love that I've had an opportunity to work with you, and I really enjoy that experience, and that I get to see the final products all the time, like Sam's website. I think there's another friend of ours that you did her website. You've done my website, and there are so many more that you've done. So just thanks for doing that. And in terms of networking, what does networking look like for you?
Oh, well, there are a couple levels to it. So I would say you're commenting on the different people that I've worked with. A lot of the clientele that I've gotten has been kind of word of mouth. And as far as networking, I do a decent amount of going to events and things like that in my previous role and then now in my new role. And so it's really just about showing up as myself, both in the role and with my side business as well, and allowing people to kind of learn about my business that way rather than putting like a heavy marketing focus. I don't do a ton of intentional marketing outside of that, outside of the events that I'm already going to.
Okay. And you mentioned a little bit about how your two roles, basically when you go to an event, you go as yourself and you are the person who does the day job and you are the person who owns your business. How do you manage that? And have you encountered any issues there?
Yes, sometimes you can take on too much. And so I have to be very mindful of my time, my bandwidth, because after I've worked a full day, there's only so much energy I can give and only on so many days per week. I can't do that every single day, not with children and sports and other extracurricular activities in a life, right? And so I have made the decision to try and keep my client level at like one at a time or two at a time. That way I can continue going because when I take on too many projects, there's just not enough hours in the day for me to give my full self to anything. And so I'm showing up halfway to all of the things. And it's not great for anyone. So I'm definitely still figuring it out, but balancing weekends and the evenings, when the kids are doing other fun things, that's a great time for me to work and get things done. Sometimes I've got to do shoot a few emails or button something up on a weeknight. And I take time to do that as well.
Great. I'm really glad that you mentioned that because on the client side, I definitely didn't feel I felt like I was your client, you were getting it done. You had timelines in place. You worked to meet those timelines. I think it was interesting though, because you were very patient with me because I, as the client, was not always the most responsive just because I have so much going on. But then we talked through that. You understood. You gave me the bandwidth that I needed. So you were very, very understanding. So it's nice to see how you manage your schedule in a way where your clients that you focus on, they know that you're giving them your full attention. And it's not like because sometimes I feel like we can end up doing too much. But once we have systems in place where we know this is what we're doing, this is what is working, our clients feel like they're top of mind, it makes it work. So even though you have a day job, that does not affect the client's experience because you've put things in place to make sure that it works. And as a client, I'm saying it really worked. So thank you so much for that. And some people listening to us, they're also having to balance. So it's good that you shared that with listeners so they know that there is a way to do it. It probably just means you're not taking in as many clients as you probably can because you've decided that if I take you on, I'm going to spend this time with you. And as I finish with whatever smaller number I'm working with, then I move on to the others. So that's the system that works. So it is doable.
Yes, it is doable. I would say I check both emails like every day, multiple times a day, just to make sure when those questions and things come in, I am responsive. And shooting a quick email doesn't take that much time for the most part. But when it comes to scheduling out the work, like when I do a proposal for a client and I'm saying, okay, this is when I think will be done, I'm also taking into account my work calendar, any events that are going to happen, any things that the kids are going to have to do, like to see where I can actually fit in those work times to make sure that those things are getting done on schedule. And so I try to approach it at the very beginning so that I'm not overloading everything all at once. I have done that in the past. And so I try to take it all into account when planning out the project.
Right. And that's one of those things, that flexibility that really goes a long way. Yes. Okay. That takes us to our blossoming segment. So I know we talked earlier about you working on things to lead to blossoming, but I want to focus on what blossoming looks like for you now. We talked earlier about different levels when it comes to certain things, and I'm guessing there's that throughout the journey. So in terms of where you are now, what is success for you?
I think it's a couple things. One of them is balance. And so we kind of just touched on that, on how to balance everything in life. And then I feel like I am in the blossom phase of life. Like the business hasn't blossomed to be like a full-time thing, but I wake up every day excited for what I do, like on both ends. Like I'm enjoying what I do and the value. I feel like I'm doing what I'm good at in order to make a difference for other people. And so for me, that is success. And there's, in my opinion, nothing worse than waking up feeling dreadful every day. And so that's another reason why I enjoy helping other people, trying to create that feeling in their own life.
Great. So the feeling that you create for others sounds like that what motivates you, that keeps you going.
It is like, and then when they feel it, I feel it even more. And it's like a compounding effect.
Yes, I love that. All right. Well, I wish you all the best. I know that you will continue to blossom. And I'm just really happy that you do see that even though you're new in business, that you can see I am blossoming. This is important to me. I am achieving that and I am blossoming, because sometimes we don't take time to actually acknowledge that. We're always looking for the next big thing, right?
Yes.
So it's nice to really take time out and accept, this is my blossoming stage right now, and I love it. And it will change, as time goes by. Okay, so we're now heading to our closeout segment. And there we like to find out whether you have at least 3 tips that can share with our listeners.
Okay, so my first tip would be just start. Don't spend too much time toiling over all the questions. And it's important to help try and define what you're doing, but it's more important to get out there, start offering things, and see what people need, because that is the best experience that you're going to get. It's the best advice you're going to get, and it's what's going to move your business forward quicker. My second piece of advice would be to trust in timing. Trust in timing, trust your gut, and allow. Even when things don't always make sense, be open to allowing and figuring things out, even if it means you need to pivot. My third suggestion would be careful with the platforms that you pay to start your business. And so they know what you're looking for as a new business owner and will offer additional help for additional fees that you don't always need to pay. And so if there's someone that you can talk to for their advice, who's already started their own business, or that they help people with things like that, I would recommend that over going online and getting hit with this like really big bill that you did not expect. And it turns out it's for services you may have been able to get other places for free or for a discount.
Yeah. And I think sometimes when we're looking to start, right, we try to look for all those resources. And some of those that we get, they're not always the best. And that's why I really like this community, because what we're trying to do is to connect listeners with guests. So that way, if there's a question, if there is something that somebody else has learned, and now they can share that with the person looking to start, like, for example, this is what I did, but later on, this is what I should have done. Like, that information is very valuable. So we try to get people to start talking, So that leads me to my question. Are you open to someone reaching out to you to maybe just learn a little bit more, or just to talk about business in general?
Absolutely. I'm always an open book from my experience with being an entrepreneur, or if it's a branding question or a logo or website question, I'm always open to chat it up and see what advice I can give you on how to move forward. If you need my help, that's great. But also, like, I'm going to tell you what I think and what would be best for you. So yeah, I am definitely open to that if anyone has any questions.
Okay. And what are the best ways that we can reach you?
So I'm not super active on social media, but you can connect with me on my website. It's www.anyacreative.co, and Anya is spelled Anya. Or you can email me directly at info@anyacreative.co.
Okay. Thank you so much. I've had a wonderful time chatting with you. At this point, we've talked quite a bit, and I always enjoy our conversations, and I am quite sure that we will be talking some more. So thanks again, and thanks for sharing so much with our listeners.
Thank you.
Okay, have a good day.
You too. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Begin, Build, Blossom Your Business Journey. We hope today's conversation gave you the insights and the inspiration you need to move forward on your own path. Don't forget to subscribe or follow wherever you get your podcast so you never miss an episode. Do you have feedback? We'd love to hear from you at podcast@cmeaccountingllc.com. Join us again next week for a new episode.